open it, and this man looks at me. He said, "Hey," and I look at him, and he was like, "You're about to have a very spiritual experience." And I was like weirded out. I was like, "Okay, all right." And I'm like, I might not move in here now. Walk out the door, close it, and I swear to God, my foot hit the step, and boom, I was like rocketed into this other world where I was shown why everything worked out the way that it did and why things happened to me the way that they did. I was visually in this world. I could see, I could walk, I could talk, I could function, but in my head, in this other visual sense, there was everything was being shown to me, like things I didn't know before were being shown to me, and it was like uploading into my brain. All of this stuff was like uploading into my brain. And so I get down the stairs, I walk over, and there's this Jack in the Box on the corner of PCH right by the beach. And I go and I lay down in the grass because I'm just like, this experience is happening to me and there's no stopping it and there's nothing I can do. So I laid down and I'm like, just having these, mind you, I'm fully like, I could have a conversation with somebody. I'm just like this, but in my head and around it, like this third eye thing is happening. And I'm watching all of this stuff play out, all these memories, all these, like, I don't even know how to better describe it. And it went on for hours. At the end of it, it was like this conclusion of I was different. I was a different person. And there's a lot of theories. I don't know if you've ever heard of a walk-in.
No, but could it have been that he gave you DMT at the very end of that session?
No, because we sat there for like 30 minutes
Okay.
and I've done it before.
Okay.
And I was,
You wouldn't have been able
not.
to walk around either. You would have been, you know what I mean? I don't think you can walk around.
I've done every psychedelic, and like that's thoughts played through my mind too.
Right.
But I've done every psychedelic.
Okay.
And I've never had an
So
experience
no,
like this.
what's a walk-in? I don't know what that is.
It's like where another soul walks into your body. So that's one of the theories that maybe it could be. I think that I had an encounter with Christ.
Yeah.
That's what I think. There's absolutely no denying that ever since that moment, I was a completely different person.
Oh.
I was not violent. I was very capable of being reasonable. And I don't even know how to explain. I was a completely different person after that happened. Completely different person. Like red pill moment happened. And I'm sitting there. I don't have anywhere to go. Like, I'm supposed to move into this place. I have this sober living that like I have my stuff at, but I can't go back there. And I had this one person's phone number. I'm sitting on a bench and it's like eerily quiet. Like it should be, it's Long Beach. Like it should be like more people around, but it was so silent that night. And I look over to my right and there's an old seedy motel and I have money and I have the ability to do all the things that I used to do. And then on the other hand, I have this phone number of this person that I can call and I'm thinking about it. And I'm like left with this left or right fork decision. And these two men are walking up and I just look at them and I'm watching them. And they said, "Don't be afraid." And I was like, "I'm not." And then they smiled at me like, and they kept walking. And I called the number of this lady at this IOP. And she was like, "There's two places you can go." And I was like, "Well, I need to go to the one that's going to allow me to work at the club because I have to pay my bills." She was like, "Well, why don't we go with this one? It's Gabe's Homes. It's a Christian home. You go to church, da 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 da." And I was just like, "Of course it is." Like this whole thing is like led up. This whole experience like has led up to this. So the guy, I'm like waiting at this Jack in the Box, and this guy pulls up. His name's Bill, and he's like, "I'm outside." I go outside and I open the door and he's like, "You ready to go home?" And I was like, it was just like everything hit so fucking hard. Like the details of this, I'll never forget. And I was like, "Yeah." And I get there and, I pass out, whatever. But that was my sobriety date. It's tattooed on me. It was this encounter, like, even though that's not my sobriety date anymore, it's still the day that like my life changed forever.
Yeah.
Like I'll never forget this.
Wow.
And so it was like trying to figure out what happened to me, because something happened to me.
Yeah.
And now I was this different person who was capable of things I wasn't capable of before. And I knew things I didn't know before. And my reactions were different. And the way that I dealt with people were different. And the amount of patience I had was higher. And the amount of tolerance I had was higher. My will to do things. It was like how they describe like your frontal lobe becoming fully developed, like in
Yeah.
an instant. Like, you know, like I was 10 years more mature than I
Wow.
was ever. Like this impacted me. Go ahead.
What were you being shown that made you feel like everything that has happened to me happened for a reason? Because I get the sense from what you're saying that some of it was, because for me this has been true as well, like that gratitude component that we were talking about earlier, that had to come though from me releasing any like anger or resentment at the past and seeing
Yeah.
that it's all okay because it made me this person and I'm actually really grateful for that, and so it's all okay, and it's like this reciprocal relationship between gratitude and the past and all the things that happened. Is that kind of what you're being shown, like you, Keta, went through this so that you could become this person that you are right now? Is that part of what you were being shown?
Yeah, but it was like I was shown alternate situations too. Like, being shown like what the path would have looked like had I gone down that way. I was being shown, it was just, there's no way for me to fully describe what this experience was like.
Yeah.
I've like I said, I've touched pretty much everything there is to experience, and there was nothing like this. I was being shown forward too. If I were to go this way, what that looked like and what this looked like. And it was just I was a different person. That's all I can say is like my soul, like I felt molecularly different. Like I was a completely different human being. Like a different soul walked into my body and took the seat and was who I am now.
Wow.
And it was just such an insane situation. And I stayed sober.
For
You know
how
what I
long?
mean? 3 years.
Okay. What do those 3 years start to look like? What do you do job wise, life wise? Do you stay at that rehab?
So I quit dancing because God told me to.
Yeah.
Like me and God do. I think God told me to do something. Like I know when God's talking to me, I know how to be obedient. I've learned through the years, like that's why my life is blessed. There's no shame in my game about the relationship that I had. People can think that I'm insane, but I know when I'm hearing the voice of God, you know? And so it was like, you can't do that anymore. And I was like, well, then how am I going to, you said I had to be sober. You didn't say I had to be poor,
Right.
you know? Like, those are two different things, sir. You know, like I can't be poor. I don't know how to do that. I did that all my childhood. We were not good, you know. And yeah, I just remember him being like, "Trust me, just trust me." And I was like, "All right, well, you got 30 days." I've never gotten a job before. I don't know what to do. You know, like I don't know how to freaking make a resume. Like I don't know what to do. But I'll give you this amount of time. And me and God have always had that. I'm like, you got 72 hours to show up, sir, you know, or I'm doing what I'm going into self-will. That's what we're going to do. And I think he thinks it's funny because he usually does fit into the time frame. And so it had been like, I had, oh man, just at every point in my early journey, God was showing up for me. So I go and I had like $200 or whatever. And I remember calling my mom, and I didn't have a bank account. I didn't have a card, or I didn't have a bank card, so I couldn't pay the insurance payment. And I was like asking anybody to just put it on their card, and I would like Western Union them the money. And even my mom was like, I got something to do right now. I can't do it. And I was crushed. I was so heartbroken. I went and opened a bank account, I think, like Bank of the West or something, and or got the card. And I called to make the payment, and there was already a card on file, and it had been paying my insurance through the original place that I went, and it paid my insurance through the end of my treatment. So I didn't have to pay for it at all.
Whose card
Like
was
it was
it?
already taken care of. The original treatment centers.
What do you mean?
The one that scholarshiped me.
Oh, Oh, okay. Okay. That just stayed.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
So I didn't have to pay the rent there or anything like that for the first 3
Wow.
months. Like God
Okay.
was covering so that
Yeah.
I would have this bubble of protection so that I could get better.
Yeah.
And so that time was up. I was done with the IOP. I was going to have to start paying rent. I still didn't have a job and I wanted to go back and dance. I
Yeah.
was like, this is what I know. It's simple, like, but I couldn't. I had done it a couple times and it felt icky to me.
Yeah.
Like it felt like I don't know if I can do this and be sober at the same time. I went to a meeting and I bawled in that meeting. And I was just like, I'm trying so hard and I don't have a job. My insurance is about to run out and da 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 da. My car's still in the shop. Like it's been in there for 2 months. Like they have to find the front end. Like I don't even have a vehicle. Like, like I've never been in a situation. All I want to do is go back and do what I've always done. But I'm not. I'm here instead. That makes me emotional because at that point I was just like, me and God were on a faith walk together. And like he built my faith so deeply through that time, like in that relationship with him. Like it was so important. It was so important to trust him. It was so important to continue to walk forward, even when it looked like all odds were off, like all bets were off, like the odds were not in my favor. I was going to lose and believe anyways that something would come through for me. And so I continued with that. And like, that's the foundation of my faith.
Yeah.
Like that walking through the dark, like just like fumbling around for the light switch, just trying to find any glimmer of hope that there was something better for me. And, the meeting ends. This woman named Sam Orloff, she walked out and she gave me $10 and she said, "Do you need a ride home?" And I said, "Yes," because I'd been walking miles to get to the Garden Grove Alana Club. Oh, it makes me so emotional. Because I fought for that. Yeah. And so she was like, "Do you need a job?" And I was like, "I do." She's like, "Okay, here's the address. You start Monday." And she was the floor manager of a call center. And she gave me a fucking job. And I hated that job. I hated it. And I was still poor. I hated it. And I was still poor. But God came through for me yet again on a miraculous level. Like every turn in my early sobriety. The reason why I went to rehab was because my sister invited me to her wedding and I didn't think she was going to invite me.
Okay.
But the condition was that I showed up sober.
Okay.
And then I do get sober and her wedding's coming up and I don't have any money. And I have no way to get, and she was like, "You're going to have to find your own way. Like, we're not,
Right.
like, which is totally understandable." They, were jaded off of me. They probably didn't even believe that I was actually sober. You know what I mean? And so Bill, the guy that came and picked me up originally, he bought me a Greyhound ticket so that I could go to my sister's wedding. Yeah. And so like at every turn, every one of my needs was provided. My wants were not provided for, but my needs, they were provided for.
Yeah.
So, moving forward, like the next 3 years were hard and they were good and they were beautiful and they were, oh my gosh, there's so many ups and downs in them. You know what I mean? And I learned so much, but I have bipolar disorder. And that bipolar disorder went from being bipolar 2 to bipolar 1. And it just flipped on its head. This is what happened. I was working in treatment. I was a house manager of a house. I was personal training on the side and working in the music industry. So I was like full. I was overworking myself and something just snapped in me. I got fired from the treatment center. I quit the house manager position. I found another thing, another place to live. I packed my car full of bathing suits and I went to every national park on the West Coast in like a matter of 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then like, I didn't know what was happening. And,
were you in a manic episode?
Yeah,
okay.
But it was my first one.
Okay.
And I didn't know what was happening.
Okay.
I just knew that I wanted to go to all the fucking national parks. Fuck this job. I don't have a job.
Oh my God.
Whatever. I was like in this perfect position, but I was like camping in Sedona. And this guy traded me a cigarette for a beer.
Okay.
And I drank it. that set off like the next 2 years of my life.
Holy
Like,
shit.
and so, yeah. So, and it was just like, I was in this manic episode and it seemed like a good idea
Yeah.
at the time. And
Wow.
you're not really like making your own decisions in manic episodes. There's not like a lot of control. And the way that I describe it is like you're in the car, but you're not driving, you know?
Totally.
So you can like watch the crash happen, you know, but you can't grab the wheel. Like there's nothing you can do. It's going to happen. It's going to play out. So I remember I was like crossing the Snake River and I was going to Yellowstone. Something goes and just, I'm just back in my body. And I'm like, I want to go home. I was like 13 hours from Yellowstone. I was 11 hours from my sister's house. And it was closer to my sister's house. And so I went west instead of east. And I ended up at her house and I stayed in Northern California for a bit and didn't really put together why I had like 9 bathing suits and like no real clothing with me. You know what I mean? Like it was whoever packed that, there was a lot of swimming going to happen apparently.
Yeah.
That's so random. We had to go visit my grandparents and I didn't have anything to wear. I had to like borrow clothes from my sister. Like I had gym clothes and bathing suits. That's like all I had. I start dancing again. And of course I'm drinking and like, that's it though. Like I'm drinking for like a year or two. And everything's very manageable. But I have clients that like to party. And I was addicted to money more than I was addicted to anything else, always, ever, you know? And so I would have clients that would, you know, there were points where I would make $5,000 for partying for one night. You know what I mean? So imagine just getting paid to like do blow. Like it's so tempting. It's just so fucking tempting. Like that was the hardest part when I walked away again, you know, was walking away from the money. Again, it was always the money. It was never the drugs. The drugs I could take or leave, but the money was really intoxicating to me because that meant freedom, that meant safety. And so I correlate it with freedom and safety. I know that if I have my own, nobody can take that from me. And I am like, I'm protected. Like that's how I feel because I grew up in such deep poverty. And so I have like poverty trauma bad. My lines are a little blurred on like the moral compass, you know what I mean? Like I'll sell some drugs for some money. Like why not? You know, like it's just somebody's gonna buy it, somebody's gonna sell it. Might as well be me, you know. And so I was working in the club and like I had a lot of regular clients and that was kind of my shtick. Like I didn't really go in unless somebody was going to give me some money to come in and I would get them some cocaine and they would give me a shit ton of money and it was a great exchange and like didn't have a problem. And at this point, like I'm still working in the music industry and like having a great time. Life is good. I'm really enjoying it. Still very manageable with my own situation. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like off the rails at all. Like there was a point or two where I was like, nah, maybe scale it back. Like probably shouldn't be doing it that much. Wasn't in full-fledged addiction. And so my client hit me up and he was like, are you coming in tonight? And I was like, I can. So I'm like getting ready and little Joe, my roommate, I'm like, he walks by the bathroom, I'm getting ready, and I just like sighed really loudly. And he was like, what, you don't want to go? And I was like, I'm just afraid of what's going to happen when I get there. Cause like I was trying to be on a like a little sober streak at the time. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm not, you know? And so I go in, my client's there, I get him some stuff and we dance. We walk out and he's standing across from me. And then all the lights in the club go on. And there's ATF, there's cops with guns everywhere. They tell all the patrons to leave. And my client, I'm like, you can go. He doesn't leave. So here I am, I'm like still trying to hold out hope. I'm like, maybe they're arresting so-and-so, the guy that normally like, you know, does the stuff in the club. And sure enough, he comes through the back door from the smoking section, gets arrested and carted off. I'm like, okay, I might, maybe, just maybe. And I knew that was like, you know, false hope, but just maybe. And there's like a girl that's like dressed in like the worst stripper outfit ever. She's obviously undercover. She's like, what's happening? What's going on? Well, shut the fuck up. You know, and I'm like, don't talk to me. You be quiet. Because I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And they take me and this girl, Foxy, back. I remember I had some like personal whatever, and I like tossed my little money bag, and I had 3 bags with me, and I tossed like the money bag in one of the bags, and they're like, which one's yours? And I was like, these two. And because I didn't want to get the additional whatever. And they're like, you're being arrested. And I'm like, for what? And they're like, you know what you did. And I was like, I have no clue what I did. Not even a little bit. I haven't done anything. So you're going to have to tell me what I did. And they're like, you know what you did. And I'm like, Foxy, don't fucking say anything to them. Keep your mouth shut. You have the right to remain silent. Like, don't fucking say anything. So they arrest us. They take us in. Cop takes me to, gets me in the room. And he was young. Like, he was not good at what he did. And so he's like, you want to tell me why you're here? And I was like, that's what I'm wondering. I would love for you to tell me why I'm here. You guys have to tell me why you've arrested me. You can't, like, you know. And he was like asking me all these questions. And I was like, what does this have to do with anything? Like, tell me why I'm here. And he's like, if I tell you why you're here, will you give me some answers? And I was like, of course, you know. And he's like, you're here for trafficking. And I was like, for drug trafficking. And I was like, ooh, seems like I'm going to need a lawyer. And he was like, you just said you were going to tell me what, you know. And I was like, well, you know, we all lie sometimes.
Yeah. Oh my God. So that client.
Why would I? Like, ooh, that seems like lawyers speak. You should probably talk to my lawyer for that.
God.
And he was like, but I'm the one that took you out of that room. And I was like, and you're going to put me right back in there, sir. And he was like, just trying to throw all the tricks out of the bag. And he was like, whatever, you're probably going to take a plea deal anyways. And I was like, probably. They tacked an extra $90,000 onto my bail. My bail was like $180,000. And so I ended up doing 11 days until we could get my bail lowered. It was like the day before my court date. And then I got bailed out. It was like $9,000 and then another $5,000 for a lawyer. And I'm like, I swear to God, like, I was reading this book, A Return to Love. It's like about A Course in Miracles. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah. So I go to my room after getting bailed out, like, my girl Kaylee put up the money, Joe signed the bail slip, and Sam picked me up. Like, I never felt so loved in my life that so many people came to my aid. Like, that was, for me, I was like, that was proof of who I was to people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, the quality of people that loved me was so pure and so good that, like, I must have done something right. And I felt, for the first time in my life, like I had people that really truly loved me and like would do anything for me. And that's true. You know what I mean? Like, it was really like, it was a moment for me, but I was like, holy, like, I'm going to prison. Like, that's what I'm thinking. I'm going to prison. I walk into my room. I swear to God, I shut the door. A Return to Love falls off of the bookshelf and lands on the floor. And I'm looking at it, and it's just like this sign to me to like read this book. And like, I'm in it, and I'm like, it's telling me what to believe, basically. And I'm like, in this, like, I don't even let myself have an independent thought. Like, I'm reading this book for the next, because I told you my court date's in the morning. Yeah. So I got out like Saturday night. I had Sunday, and my court was on Monday. And so I had like 36 hours. My nose was, I was devouring this book. Like, I was just reading this book and trying to keep my mind. I'm like, I'm not going to prison. I'm not going to prison. Like, you know, this is going to work out somehow, some way. I end up going to court. I have this book with me in the courtroom. Like, I'm just reading this. I don't care. Like, that's the only thing I can do to like stay sane. We go, and they're like, we want to offer you a 5-year joint suspension, 3 years probation, and time served. And my lawyer looked at me and he was like, take it. And I was like, I was gonna, you know. Yeah. He was like, both of you guys have to take the deal because we were co-defendants. Okay. And we both took the deal because he was stuck in jail on a parole hold. Okay. He couldn't get out. Okay. He was on a parole hold. So, and I was floored. And I swear it's because I freaking read this book and I like treated the situation like mentally. I was like, no, this is going to work out for me. But that was the moment, like, I Like I got sober again
Wow.
immediately. Didn't even have to try. There was absolutely no desire in my brain body for a substance whatsoever. It was so immediate. There was no attempt
Yeah.
happening. It was not even 30 days later that the world shut down.
Oh shit. Okay, so that is your current sobriety date, what we're talking about right now, and it was in 2020. No.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
no. So uh yeah, the pandemic happens. I
Mhm.
traveled for a long time. Like I remember I was having to like fucking use WhatsApp numbers to, or I mean text now numbers to like talk to my probation officer. I never met my probation officer because it was a pandemic. So I would just do a phone call with her every month. I'm living in fucking Peru and Colombia and Mexico. Like I was always afraid I was gonna have to like come back to the States, but like it never opened up. I did 18 months. They let me off early. I paid my fines and I was done.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Like I had no clue how I fucking like getting bailed out and getting a good lawyer. Like I had a great lawyer,
Yeah.
like a great lawyer. I think they knew like we were going to drag it on forever, and they were like, in the interest of not wasting the court's resources,
Sure.
we want to offer them.
Okay.
Like, if she fucks up again, then she's going upstate for 5 years.
Okay.
But I hadn't had a record in years,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so
Okay.
pandemic, blah blah blah, all that happens. I mean, so much happened. Like I was when I was in Peru and stuff, I was like on an ayahuasca journey. I
Okay.
was like on a healing journey and like trying to heal some trauma because during the beginning of the pandemic, we were working very closely with some very famous artists and stuff. And
Okay. Ugh. And then it fell apart.
like it fell apart. I had a manic episode
Okay.
and it fell apart again. Like this was just my theme in my life. Like I would have these fucking manic episodes and like I would destroy things and I didn't know that I was breaking it and I couldn't stop it. It was just like watching this car crash happen over and over and
Fuck.
over again. And I was just like, what the fuck is happening? And I was like, something has to change because I can't continue to build my life up this way, like to the tier of like admirability. Like, you know what I mean? Like the things I would create
Mhm.
would be fucking
Yeah.
stunning. Like you like, whoa, how did she do that? And then I would tear it all
Yeah.
down. I would tear it apart. And it had nothing to do with addiction. It was all mental
Yeah.
health. And so I was like, whatever, dude. I'm gonna go on this journey. I'm gonna try using psychedelics to heal my nervous system. And it worked. Like I will never talk shit about those modalities. Like that's why I've had like people with Cali Sober on my
Yeah.
podcast, and I've had people like with different stories and different situations. My one of my really good friends got sober using ibogaine, you know.
I feel the same
So
way. Yeah.
yeah, and I believe that everybody's recovery journey is
Yeah.
different, and there's no one size fits all. And AA is really hard and fast
Yeah.
lines.
Hmm.
Like they're very
Yeah.
rigid, and life is just life is too flexible for that. I think what really happens like a sunk cost fallacy when like
Yeah.
we relapse and like, oh, now I have to
Sure.
just go ruin my life,
Hmm.
and it's like, no, whatever, you had a shot of tequila, like jump back on the bandwagon.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Let's right back, or like it says in the book, if you think you can drink like a gentleman, hats off to you. And if you're not done, go out and get some more experience. Find out if you truly are an alcoholic. Like we have free will, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like I understand why people are so rigid about it because people die, but also people are dying. So if there's a harm reduction that we can have happen at the same time, like I'm all
Me
for
too.
that and I will always advocate for that because there's a lot of people who have died with that sunk cost fallacy
Totally.
thinking that they had so much shame around breaking their sobriety date, and all it is a
All it
day.
is a day.
Like all it is a day, and all the days that you spend sober, you keep them.
Yeah.
Those are yours. So like for the last 11 years, I've been sober probably for 9 of them.
Yeah. Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I've that's a great
That's
accomplishment.
what my mom would always say that to me too. She'd be like, Janine, you had a year and a half sober over the past 2 years. That's more than that you had ever had. You kind of put a
Right.
life together. And I'm like, you're right, you're right,
Yeah.
you're right.
I went on that journey, came back, was living in Vegas, ended up like I was doing a lot of like inspirational, motivational stuff, was blowing up on TikTok. Things were
Okay.
going really well. Everything was great. And, was not engaging in the psychedelics anymore. Like that was for that healing period. And then I was sober, ended up moving back to Mexico with my best friend, Stephanie. And, ugh, the story is always so rough for me to tell just because it's so sensitive. Like, and so we lived there together for like 6 months, and my house got robbed, and so I had to come back. She stayed there, and like, what was I gonna do? I can't take her with me, she's a grown adult. She went missing, and she remember being like, something's fucking wrong, like something's wrong. She's not answering her phone. I can't get her on an email. Like, something's fucking wrong. And I had friends that were like, you're being a little dramatic. Like, I'm like, I'm not though. Like, something's not right. Her husband, they were separated at the time, but they were still really close friends, and they were in getting a divorce. Like, reached out to me and was like, hey, have you heard from Steph? And I was like, well, that's the only sign I needed. Something's fucking wrong.
Right.
If nobody's from her in 3 fucking days, like, we're gonna go on a Miss Detective fucking FBI spree. I'm finding out where my best friend is. We did that. Like, we were just going back and forth with every fucking lead. Like, it kept getting into dead ends, dead end, dead end, dead end, dead end. And then finally, I had all her passwords and stuff. Like, I'd gotten on the phone with Airbnb, and I'd gotten into her account talking to them, and they hung up on me. And I was like, I'd been talking to them for 45 minutes, and they hung up on me. And I was like, no, like, I thought they would just get disconnected. So I called back and like going through this whole fucking process again, and like getting in the account. No, it's not the phone number associated, blah, 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 blah. Get in, I'm talking to this person again, and I get hung up on again.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, this isn't good. Like, something to my fucking soul. There was like an engine in my soul, like trying to figure out what was happening. I was like, nah, fuck that. And like Taylor, he was like, well, we have the number to the host, And I was like, you should call him because you're like the husband, like he'll probably talk to you. So I'm on the phone with Airbnb. He's trying to get a hold of the host. He calls me. He's like, he hung up on me. And I was like, man, on me. He's not going to fucking hang up on me. And so I'm in WhatsApp, and I swear to God, I never spoke Spanish better than I did that day. I just was flooding him with messages, and with pictures of us together, and just like trying to get him to like just put a note on her door, or would just tell us what happened because her reservation was canceled. And he was like, who is this? And I'm like, I'm her best friend. Like, we just don't know where she is. Like, please help me. Please fucking help me find my best friend. And he was like, it's just really sensitive information. I thought like he would get in trouble with Airbnb, or I don't know what my mind was trying to fucking like do to protect me, because my soul knew.
Yeah.
So I ended up calling her, or he ended up calling me, and we were on the phone for like 5 minutes, and he's giving me all these details that don't fucking matter. And then all of a sudden he said, and then we found her on Thursday morning or Monday. We found her on Monday morning, and the center of my being, it like collapsed into itself. My body started convulsing, like in a seizure fashion, like in shock. Like, I went into actual shock, like physical shock from this information. He was like, I can give you the number to the police. You're going to have to collect the body. And just makes me so sad. So I tried to stay on the phone with him as long as I could. I'm like sobbing silently, like, and I just finally told him, I was like, hey, I have to go. Like, and I knew I had to tell Taylor and her family, and I couldn't. And so I got in my car and I drove to a gas station, and I bought a 6-pack of like some weird cider beer, and I pounded it in the car, and I drank another one in the car, and I drove home the little 0.3 miles, and I got in my apartment again. I was trying to get my body to stop shaking, because it's like not like a slight tremor. Like, I am convulsing. Like, there's my nervous system is damaged. I drank another one, and I just remember having the thought, what is the best way to tell somebody the worst thing? And I texted him and I was like, hey, are you still up? 'Cause it's like 11:30 at this point. And he's like, yeah. He responded right away. And I was like, fuck. I was praying he had like fallen asleep and like I had more time to like figure out what to say. I called him and I was like, Taylor? And he's like, yeah. I was like, I talked to him. He was like, you did? And I was like, it's not good. And he was like, it's not? Like, and there was like this question in his voice. And I was like, they found her on Monday morning. And he just started screaming. He just started screaming in the phone, and I'm sobbing. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Taylor. And he's just started screaming, I have to call her sister. I have to call her sister. I'm like, okay. And so he hangs up the phone, and I'm wailing with grief. I'm sobbing. I'm wailing. I've don't know if I've ever cried that way before. And the next day I woke up and I just like went to Smith's and I bought a fifth of Patron, and like that was what we were doing that day. That was all I knew to do. That was all I could do. And me and him kind of followed the same trajectory because I met her in AA and I met him there too. I met them separately and then they ended up getting married. I was like blacked out for I think 4 days. And then I had a work thing. I had a song I had to write for an artist in LA. And so I like pulled my stuff together, and I was supposed to meet Taylor too because they sent somebody down there to go get her body, and she had been in the house too long to bring her body back. They had to cremate her there, and her animals were also passed away. Everybody that was there was passed away, which was like hit after hit after hit. Like we found these all of this stuff out in segments, and so like
what happened?
Thought it couldn't get worse.
What happened?
It's a long story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot. I don't want to get into the details of it, but everybody was gone in the house.
Okay.
And so yeah, after that point I was just kind of like lost. Yeah. I was so lost in grief. I had never experienced grief that way. It took me 2 years. Like it's only been in the last like 6 months that I felt even near who I am as a person.
Holy
like I was gone. My soul vacated my body and was like, it's not safe here and we'll be back later. Sorry. And like I don't even know how I survived the first year. The first year, like I was like a non-functioning version of myself and like somehow still was able to like maintain paying my bills and like taking care of everything. But for the most part, like I was so depressed. I would cry all the time. Like I was traumatized. I was so fucking traumatized by this. That lapse or whatever was like, I think 3 or 4 months, like on and off, you know, like I took a trip to Costa Rica that she was supposed to go with me on, trying to like force myself back into like some normalcy, but like you cannot force grief to leave you. It's like a cloak, you know, and you're going to wear it for as long as it wants to be with you. And it fundamentally changed me. Who I am as a person is different now. And the way that I function, act, talk, am, it's all changed me. But it did force me to seek help for my mental health after a year. So, because I was still having like, I was still trying to manage everything holistically, which, you know, I was able to do for a long time until I wasn't.
Right. Because you still didn't know yet that the 2 episodes were manic episodes. You were like, I don't know why I'm tearing things down. So this is when you figured it out.
After. It took me about 3 to realize what was happening. Crew, I believe, was a manic episode 2, but it served me. Like, did a good job. Like, that was a manic episode. Like I started to figure it out. But then I would have these long periods of remission, like 9 months to a year of remission from any symptoms. And so, but what seemed to happen is something would get triggered and then I would be in a manic episode. And it's like by being bipolar, it's weird because it's smart. It's like, it almost feels like an entity. Like it'll like trick you into not knowing that that's what's
Totally.
happening. It's the weirdest thing. I
Yeah.
don't even know how to
Yeah.
describe it. But after a year, when I still couldn't function, I was like, I need to get some help. You know, like I'm still crying every day. I'm still like just a shell of a human being. I remembered the combination of meds that I was on when I was like 16. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I went to the doctor and I was like, this is what I was on. Can you put me on this? And they said, yeah. And they wrote me for the script that day. And I haven't had a manic episode since.
Wow. And that was how long ago now?
It was 2 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Well, I want to say, first of all, thank you for sharing that story. I know that you and I spoke about it like really briefly when I met you in person, and you shared with
yeah.
me that you had never spoken about it yet, and that this would be the first time that you were talking about it. And so I just want to say,
I didn't know if I was going to, actually.
Okay.
I didn't know if I was ready to.
Yeah.
And like, it just naturally came out.
Yeah.
But I didn't know, like, just because it's still so close. Like, this is my screensaver. Like, that's Steph.
Wow.
It's 333.
Oh, crazy.
That made me cry.
That's crazy. No, that's
what I'm
actually
talking
kind of crazy.
That's what I'm talking about. That happens all the time.
Wait, which one is that? Which one is that? The 333. Which angel number is that?
I know that that's a master number, but 333 angel number.
Creativity, growth, communication, encouraging you to trust your instincts with communication. Yeah. Okay. Maybe it was the right time for you to share about it a little, you know?
Maybe, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So I moved back to California. I've been here from Vegas for, I think, 3 years now, or 2.5 years now. So, been doing the podcast for almost a year, and then just living a life that is really simple and is really beautiful. Like I'll say the last 6 months, I've had like the most contentment. Like I've like been able to experience joy. I remember like coming out of grief, like, because it comes in waves, right? So it's never like, even on medication, like I was still like a shell of a human being. Like I didn't function the way that I've always been ambitious and like driven and just like a force of nature. And like, that's not like ego. That's just like, my personality has always been larger than life, and I will do what I set out to do, and I'm doing it. I always have a goal. I always have a project. I always have something that I'm working on, and I had nothing, and I had no desire to do anything. I had all I could do was grieve. And I remember walking. This is almost a year ago. So when I first moved to Long Beach, I was walking my dog to the beach, and I got this feeling. And I was like, oh, that's joy. And I couldn't remember what it felt like. And I was like, oh, I just felt joy for the first time in 2 years, And so there was still more, unraveling to be done, but I would get more of that. I would get more of those moments, and I would continue, and I would get more of those moments. And now I'm at a point where I'm probably the most content I've ever been in my life. And I have joy every day. And I have my podcast. I still do music stuff, but I live a very simple life. And I remember before grief, like wanting to take over the world. And I thought that that was what was the most important thing. And then all I wanted when I was grieving was to wake up and want to be here. To wake up and like enjoy a cup of coffee. To enjoy this feeling of sun on my skin. To like go to a movie and like enjoy that. Just to enjoy anything in life. Because I enjoyed nothing for so long. Nothing felt good. And so getting those little things back made me, like, for one, that whole situation brought me so close to God because I was so broken by it. So that was one of the benefits of it, was it strengthened my relationship with God. But coming out of it, everything is contrast. So I am so grateful for every little fucking thing because it was stolen from me for so long that like the dumbest thing in the world makes me happy. And I'm so incredibly joyful about it, you know? And it's the best feeling
Yeah.
because I can feel it. I can feel again,
Wow.
you know?
Holy
Like I can feel good
shit.
things again. Yeah. So
Holy
it was an intense
shit.
walk.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, do you have, because I'm sure that you do you have like daily practices or routines or anything that you do to keep yourself in gratitude and like present in the moment and in peace? Like, do you have a, what do you do?
Right now, nothing.
Okay.
I did. I had all these
Me too.
routines and I had all these practices. And I had woke up in the morning, breath work,
Mm-hmm.
journaling, uh, meditation, go to the gym. You know, I had like this whole system of things that I would do to keep myself in alignment, and they work and they're good and I love them. But I did them for 2 years and they didn't fucking work. Nothing worked. Nothing helped me. And I had to sit in it and I just had to be in that place. And there was nothing I could do. I couldn't control it. I couldn't break out of it. And I had to just walk through it, you know? And so today, um, I go to the gym.
Yeah.
I meditated before we came on. I
Okay.
wanted, God to be in the room when
Yeah.
I sit down and I tell my story. I ask that God's always with me and that my words help and not hurt. And I have little practices that I'll do, and it'll just be a nudge. It'll be a spiritual nudge, like, oh, you haven't checked in with yourself in a while, so we should do that.
Yeah.
Where I'll have an incident happen and I'll be like, yeah, we should probably journal about that. Let's get that out. And because I've practiced these things for so long, now they're as needed. They're PRN,
Yeah.
per needer
Yeah. Yeah.
request,
Yeah.
because I was so rigid about it and I thought and knew that it did help me and would help me. But at this point, I think I'm just so happy to be where I'm at
Yeah.
that like it's everything else is just added
Yeah.
on. But for anybody that's trying to refine and find out who they truly are and tap into spiritual power and like their relationship with whoever their higher power is, I would say those practices are monumentally life changing. Like you should at least one point in your life spend some time doing that work,
Agreed.
and
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of years doing that
Yeah.
work. And for now, it's something that I will and do. Because I love the messages I get when I'm in communion with God. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that's usually what I share, and that's where I get, the
Me
information that I
too.
share with the world.
Yeah.
They're good, but right now there's been a lot of grace in how I've allowed myself to be because she's been through some things, and she gets sort of gentleness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I know that you're in two last questions because you've given me so much of your time. Um, and I think I said this the last time too, but I want to say this again. You are such a warrior. I mean, this is a lot. This is a lot. And I was thinking when we first started speaking, and you said, the quickest thorough path, the thread to God is gratitude, and the chart that goes up and down. And I was like, God, she's so smart. Like in the first episode too. I don't know if you saw one of the Spotify comments. My friend Chuck was like, in the first 15 minutes, this like changed my life. And I'm sharing that
Aw,
with you because to have gone through all of this stuff and have been able to turn it into a message, even if you're just
yeah.
unconsciously kind of doing it, because I can tell that that's what you're doing. You're just kind of sharing from your heart. It's just
Yeah.
it's really really incredible, and so I also just want to like acknowledge you for that, you know
Thank you.
and again, thank you for your time. I know that you're going to school right now. What are you going to school for? Like, what are your plans right now?
I'm going back to school for my teaching
Okay.
credential. Yeah, I was kind of in a limbo period and I didn't want to do what I was doing anymore I was doing a lot of social media stuff. And so I kind of left the client that I had because it was involved in sex work. It
Mm,
was OnlyFans. I was managing pages and stuff, and like something spiritually was just like needed to be obedient to walking away from that industry entirely and completely to finally heal that wound for me. And I did, and I spent 6 months with not having a job basically, and I've never been in that situation, and I had to trust God for it. And walking through, and like everything was taken care of, like with I would get like just random, like I don't know, like it just worked
That's
out for
crazy.
me, you know? Like, yeah, it was insane. And like it, but during that period, I was like, I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to, like, I love kids. I love English. I love, you know, like, what's my retirement plan? Because I don't know if I'm going to forever. So, yeah, I'm almost 2 years in
That's
now.
awesome.
So
That's awesome.
it's gone by really
Yeah.
fast. Yeah. And so I feel like that's a good retirement plan for me. Like, to get summers off
Yeah.
and, you know, you get to impact youth.
Totally.
And that's one thing that's like really, really important to me is like being impactful to the youth that is coming up, especially at-risk youth. Like, I feel like it's the perfect position for me. And I don't know if any of us are actually going to be able to retire.
I
So,
don't know
uh,
either. Probably fucking not. Not these days. For fuck's
yeah.
sake.
So
Yeah, I
I
know.
figured it would be a safe bet.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Last question.
So,
Are you doing anything? But I think I kind of already know the answer to this. Is the answer for are you doing anything for your current recovery kind of like what you had said before, just like living today and giving yourself grace and going day to day?
yeah, that's where I'm at right now, to be honest with you. I do,
Well, you do the
I
podcast too, which is like that does count as talking about recovery. I think I thought it
it
didn't,
does.
but I think it
And
does.
then I have two like one in Vegas and one that lives here. Two sponsors that are like mothers
Okay.
to me that I check in with all the. I have Wise Counsel that I consult with.
Yeah.
And it's not a recovery is not a race for
Yeah.
me, and recovery is something that I've had to redefine for
Mm-hmm.
myself multiple times.
Yeah.
And I've had to take a lot of the guilt and shame out of it. I've had to take a lot of the rigidity out of it. I've had to take a lot of the bullshit out of it, and I've had to just accept myself for where I'm at and like do my best to. Uh, be a good example, but also be true to myself
Yeah.
at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Well, and I really believe it's not linear, and I always ask in interviews, and this is good for my audience to hear me say. I do say,
mhm,
like I said to you, "Oh, that's your sobriety date?" No, okay. Oh, that's your sobriety date. And the reason I ask actually is because there's always going to be a story around it, and that's what I want. But like, it's
yeah,
not even about the time. Do you know what I mean? It's actually not about the time. Just as an interviewer, I'm like, oh no, I want to unlock that a little bit. But I do think I'm sure it comes across to people listening as though I'm just like really interested in that timeline. But to me, it's more about the story. And the longer I've been doing the show, the more I've realized that it is totally different for everyone who's just listening
yeah,
to Rich Roll. Do you know who Rich Roll is? He's got like a huge podcast. He's a sober guy. I was listening to him on another show, and he recently did an ayahuasca thing in like Peru, also, I think. And, you know,
mhm,
big time AA guy, 20 years, whatever. He's in his 60s. Everybody in the meetings is kind of weird about it, whatever. And he's like, you know, part of my journey was I saw it was like time collapsed in, and I saw
mhm,
that there was no time. So, like, no, I'm
mhm.
not resetting my date or anything because to me, and it was like very like mystical how he answered it. And he was like, and listen, I know I sound like I just got back from like Burning Man the way that I'm talking. I can't explain it, but like, I
My
believe
life
that. Right.
day. This is my
Yeah.
day. You know what I mean? And like, I don't hold any other
Right.
days. I don't celebrate a
Yeah.
birthday. I, I am not giving it that much
Totally.
power.
Totally. And I understand that.
Tomorrow might be a different day for
Right.
me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I think it gives it way too much power. And so, and I think it's good if you love it. If you
Yeah.
love it, baby, love it. Be proud of yourself for every day that you make a good choice for yourself, whatever that choice is. And so there's nothing wrong with being proud of those monuments. That's why they exist in the first place. But do not rest your head on it. You
Yeah.
know what I
I
mean?
agree.
Let it be a guillotine that takes you out.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like there is so much more than just you are so much more than a
Yeah.
date.
Yeah.
You are so much more than an accumulated amount of time,
I agree.
you know? And if you make a mistake or you decide to do something different, you want to recover differently, that's your choice. Be safe and try to make sure that you stay connected. Stay connected in sobriety. I think that's the worst thing. And like I'll say this and then I'll shut up. Because like the Cali sober community that I had come on, like he was like, yeah, it's just like you get shut out from the recovery community completely when you're not completely sober. And community is what they've done so much research on this, and community is what like keeps you fucking sober. You know what I mean? Like, keeps you doing way out crazy shit. So like if you feel like you're falling or like you're stumbling or you're not doing things 100% the right way, please stay in the community. Please stay with the people that love you. Like they might be scared of it, but that's okay. Like you need to be in representation of what you want.
Yeah.
Like don't run away.
Yeah.
Like they say, keep coming
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
So where can everybody connect with you? Your music, your podcast, your book, say all the things, and I'll list everything too in the show notes.
Yes, so Straight Cast pod, Straight Jacket Podcast is my recovery podcast. It's STRAIT Jacket Podcast, or Pod on Instagram and everywhere else except TikTok at Straight Jacket Podcast 2.0. Then my personals are I am Keta Loren, Keta Loren, and then just regular Keta Loren on TikTok and YouTube as well. So if you want a little bit of inspirational content, I have some of that over there. I sing sometimes, and sometimes I just take photos of myself like everybody else.
Totally. I love it though. I was going through, I had to find a picture for YouTube today. And so I was like scrolling through your pictures. And I was like, oh, these are so good. The ones where you're like in the ocean and stuff. I was like, these are so beautiful. They're so good.
You gotta do a little photo shoot every
I
once in a while.
agree.
You gotta feed yourself.
Dude,
You know what I
I
mean?
totally agree. That trip I just went on with my
Yeah.
girlfriends, you should have seen me on the front of that boat. I was like, listen to me. Never been on, it was a little mini yacht. I'm like, it's kind of a yacht. Looks like a fucking yacht.
That's a yacht.
I'm taking pictures.
Don't discount yourself that way. That was a yacht.
Exactly.
Been on a yacht.
That's how I feel too. Yeah. So, well, dude, thank you so much for your time. This is like absolutely incredible.